In this lecture, you'll learn about the Offcanvas component. With this component, you can build hidden sidebars into your project for navigation, shopping carts, and more. Here's an overview of the Offcanvas component. First, we can use two types of triggers, button or a link. If I click this, we'll see that the Offcanvas slides in from the left side. Here we have first an Offcanvas header with an Offcanvas title and a close button. And then we have the Offcanvas body that can contain any kind of content. Here's simply a paragraph. We can close this by clicking the close button. And let me open it up again. We can also close it by clicking on this backdrop. And we can close it by using the escape key. You should also notice that we cannot scroll on the page when the Offcanvas is open. We can change the placement of the Offcanvas. We can have it in the start position, which is the left side, and the end position, right side, top, and bottom. We can also change some options. So we can actually enable the body scrolling. So now if we open up this Offcanvas, we can still scroll on the page below it. We can disable the backdrop. So now we won't have this overlay. No, we don't have any backdrop. And we can disable the keyboard as well. So right now I'm trying to close it, but there's no backdrop to click on. Now when I open this last example, I press my escape key right now, it doesn't close. So that's some options that you can change. All right, let's get started. We'll start by creating the two kinds of triggers. First, the button by using the button tag with the type button. And the classes will be btn and btn primary to create a primary button. And now to hook it up with the JavaScript, we have the databs toggle attribute with the value of canvas. We'll also add the databs target attribute too, so this will know which element to trigger. So this will be an ID selector of canvas trigger. Remember this hash symbol in the beginning, so we will get the ID. Then we add the area controls attribute, which here you don't need the hash symbol. You simply add of canvas trigger. So this is the ID of the element that this button controls. So this is for accessibility. Then we add the text to the button, open of canvas. Now let's create a link as a trigger as well. So here we add an A tag, with the href being the ID, again with the hash symbol, so of canvas trigger like so. And we add the role attribute with the value of button, since this is actually a button. We're not going to another page. And then we add the classes btn and btn primary as we did before, so we get the exact same look. And we add the databs toggle attribute with the value of canvas, also like we did before. We don't use any databs target attribute since we're using that value in the href attribute. And we must use the area controls attribute as well. Or that is actually not a must, but it's best practice. And that is of canvas trigger, that ID that we're looking for. The text will be open canvas. Now let's create an actual of canvas element. So we add a div tag below here with the class of canvas, and to specify the position, we add the class of canvas start. So this will now appear in the left side. We set the tab index to -1, so we cannot tap into it when it's being closed. And we give it the ID of canvas trigger, which we were already using before in the trigger elements. Then we add the area labeled by attribute with the value of canvas trigger label. And now inside of this, we can first add our of canvas header. So we add a div tag with the class of canvas dash header. And inside of this, we'll add our of canvas title using an H5 heading element. It could be any heading element. and we'll give it the class Offcanvas title. We'll also give this an ID Offcanvas trigger label. So that is what we were referring to up here, or actually up here. So it means that this Offcanvas is labeled by this heading inside the Offcanvas header. We'll give it the text Offcanvas, like so. And we'll add one more element in the header, which is a close button. Use the button tag with the type button. The class is btn close, and we'll also add the text reset to make the text color the same as the parent element. And then we add the data bs dismiss attribute with the value Offcanvas to hook it up with the JavaScript, and we add the area label with the value close. Since we don't have any text for this, we only have an icon. So for accessibility reasons, area label as well. After the Offcanvas header, we can create our div tag with the class Offcanvas body for the body, and here we can put any content that we want. We'll add a paragraph in here. I'll just grab that paragraph from the reference section of this file here. Now paste it in like so. Alright, we should now go into the browser and see if this works. We'll click the screencast tab, and here we see our two triggers. We can open it up here, close it on the button, close it by clicking this overlay or backdrop here, and also using the escape key. And the link trigger works as well. Now let's see how we can adjust the placement. So first we'll copy the button trigger from up here and paste it in, and also copy this code here for the actual Offcanvas and paste it in just below. Now we'll update these IDs here, or values of different attributes and IDs, to be Offcanvas start, so it won't conflict with the other examples. So this is the default placement. We can see that we're already using the Offcanvas start class here. So this example is actually now finished. We can copy this trigger button and the code for the Offcanvas element and scroll a bit down. Paste it in again. Now let's update these values here to Offcanvas end, and this time we'll change this class to be Offcanvas end. So this is put on the parent element of the Offcanvas itself. Let's paste this whole code block in down here, and let's update these values to Offcanvas top and change this class to Offcanvas top. And let's do it one more time down here. Let's first update these values to be Offcanvas bottom and change this class to be Offcanvas bottom. So now we have both the start and top and bottom placements. We will save, go back and refresh. And now when we click this trigger, we can see we have the placement in the start or left side, in the end or right side, in the top and in the bottom. Now let's take a look at how we can change some options for this Offcanvas element. Back in the code editor, we'll scroll a bit down, and first we'll see how we can enable body scrolling. So scrolling in the page below, we'll paste in the same code block from before with the trigger button and the Offcanvas component or element itself. First, let's update these values to be Offcanvas scroll, and then we'll keep this Offcanvas start class here so it appears in the left side. Now we can add a data attribute to change some options. So we'll add this data bs scroll attribute and set the value to true. So the default is false, which is the opposite. Let's take a look at the two other options that we want to change. We'll paste in the whole code block again here. update these values to Offcanvas backdrop, and this time we'll add the data BS backdrop attribute and set the value to false. So the default is true where the backdrop appears. Now we don't want it to appear, so we cannot click on the page to close this Offcanvas element. Finally, we'll disable the keyboard functionality to close the backdrop by clicking the escape key. We'll first update these values to be Offcanvas keyboard and Offcanvas keyboard label. Now we'll add the data BS keyboard attribute with the value false. The default is true. Now let's go back a final time and refresh the browser. In the first Offcanvas, we can now see that we can scroll in the page below. In the second Offcanvas, we can see that we have disabled the backdrop. So now when I click outside of the Offcanvas element on the page, it doesn't close. I have to use the close button or the escape key. Finally, we have disabled the keyboard in this last Offcanvas element. So now I click the escape key, nothing happens. I have to use the close button or click on the backdrop. You can combine these options any way you like. So this was all about the Offcanvas component.